Welcome. I'm Pastor Andy with the Erie City Mission, and this is UUTV. I want to welcome you to this program. Today we're here with some great guests and some people that will be asking them questions. This is Connor and Judy of our Urban Youth University program at the Erie City Mission. And they're going to be doing the questioning for you. I want to introduce our panelists today. This is Mayor Joe Schember. And he's the mayor of Erie.
Hi,
Welcome.
Connor and Judy.
Glad you're here. We have Michael Outlaw, and Michael, you're the community liaison. Is that correct?
Correct.
All right. And Mr. John Persinger, now the CEO of the, see if I can get this right, the Erie Downtown Development Corporation.
You got it.
All right.
Well done.
So glad that you guys have joined us. That is about all I'm going to say, because I'm going to turn over the questioning now to our interviewers here, Judy and Connor.
Thank you.
Thank you for being here. And the first question for you guys are, what inspired you to be where you are now? And any of you guys can answer.
Okay, want me to go first? Or? Okay. Well, yeah, I was born and raised here in Erie. You know, I love Erie. The people of Erie are great. I've been going door to door over the last week. We started a little door to door, and there's such great people in Erie. I mean, they care about things. They really believe in Erie. And I'm born and raised here. I've lived here all my life, as I said. And I worked for 40 years at a bank here in town. And I'd still be working there because I loved that job too. But I kind of felt called at this point to try to give something back with the rest of my working life here. And so I want to help transform Erie. Like one of our sayings, my team and I, is that we want to build opportunity, restore hope, and transform Erie. That doesn't happen overnight. It's a lot of work. And I can tell you, my team, they often are working until 9, 10 o'clock at night on things. So we are working hard. Things are starting to move, but it's going to take years, and we're going to keep working hard till it's done.
So what inspired me? Just having a love for the city of Erie, being raised in Erie. Just want to give back, right? Just being in a position where you understand both sides of the spectrum and provide that perspective, to the administration, to the city of Erie, and just, to the mayor's point, restore hope, all right, and just transform Erie for you guys' future.
Mm-hmm.
All right.
At every stage of my life, I've tried to figure out how I can make a difference in the community which I'm a part of. And last year I ran for mayor and I was practicing law. And at the end of the year, I got a call from Tim Nicastro, who's the CEO of Erie Insurance and who is the board president of the Erie Downtown Development Corporation, a newly formed entity. And he asked if I would be willing to come interview for the CEO position. It's a group that's been formed to really transform the downtown. And I got to know Tim. I didn't know him well, but got to know him through last year and got to know him through the interview process. Got to know several of the board members. I thought it'd be a unique opportunity to really make a difference in the community. And I was so honored to be considered and so honored to pass through all the interviews.
This is a question for all of you. What do you love most about Erie?
Can I give 2 answers?
Yes, 3. I don't really much care. You can give off 20. Actually.
That's good.
Well, I would say having family here. My maternal grandparents moved here in 1952, and there's about 30 members of my mom's side who are here in town. I've got aunt and uncle and cousins the next street over. I've got some other cousins a few streets down, aunt and uncle and a few streets over. My mom has a condo 2 blocks from us. And so what's great about being here is you get to run into your family all the time when you're just out walking the neighborhood or going to the grocery store. That's one of the things that I love about Erie. The second thing, which is a second to family, but it's really important, it's about how many things there are to do here in Erie within such a short distance. Mm-hmm. Within 10, 15 minutes, you could be out at the peninsula and then back downtown. And so being here, you can easily get around and enjoy all that Erie has to offer, which you can't do in other places around the world.
All right. Yes, I would agree with John as well that Erie is a close-knit community, and the time to travel from different locations, it doesn't take that long. I love the lake. I love to rent boats, get out there on the lake with my family. Fishing, I love fishing. I love the golf courses here in Erie. I'm a golfer. not a good golfer. The mayor can attest to that.
Neither am I.
But I just love, the opportunity that's here in Erie. Erie is a gem city. It really is. We have to find ways to continue to tap into that potential and make Erie the best Erie that it can be. So that's why I love Erie.
I could probably give you 20 reasons why I love Erie, but I'll keep it to just a couple.
It's like 20 questions.
20 questions, okay.
And only one question has been said and 20 answers can come out.
Okay, I like it. But I think the main thing I love about Erie is the people. Our people here are great people. John and I actually ran against each other for mayor, but we're neighbors. We've known each other for years, and I'm really proud of the fact that we did it in a very respectful way. We both presented ourselves to the public and let them decide. We didn't attack each other or anything like that. It was all very positive, and we remain friends. I'm very happy to be able to continue working with John now that he's been appointed to the EDDC. Back when we were running for mayor, in the last couple months, I can't tell you how many people would come up to me. Some were supporters of John, some were supporters of me, but they'd say the same thing. They'd always say, I wish we could vote for both of you, and both of you could be mayor and work together, because they like both of us. And now they have that opportunity, because John and I will be working closely together with his work with the EDC and my work with the city. So that's very exciting for Erie. But the people of Erie are just incredible people. We're so fortunate that we're here.
What do you see as the unfinished story for Erie?
Well, you want me to go first? Okay.
Sure.
I was a kid in the 1960s, way back in the 1960s here in Erie. And at that time, we had almost 140,000 people in our population. And on 12th Street, there were so many jobs that, like as a teenager, I could walk down 12th Street and get 5 good job offers. And these were good jobs. My first job ever was on 12th Street at a place called Condu Corporation, which is right about 12th and Raspberry. And I was a chipper. Aluminum castings would come out, and I was on the train of doing things with them, and my job was to chip the excess aluminum off the castings. And at that time, that was the first job I really ever had. And even though my mom and dad were both hard workers, I always kind of wondered, am I going to be able to do what they're doing? And that job proved to me that I could do that I could hold a job, get paid every 2 weeks, I could work as part of a team. And so that's what really is important to me, and it's really determined the rest of my life. Now, I knew I didn't want to be a chipper for the rest of my life, but I did it much longer than I thought it would, because I just enjoyed the people I worked with and enjoyed the work itself too.
Could you please repeat the question?
I probably confused.
Actually, you kind of answered another question.
Is there another question?
Yes.
What do you see as an unfinished story for Erie?
That's a good question. The unfinished story for Erie.
You know what, while you're thinking, let me just say.
Thank you, sir.
The reason I said about 1960s first was the unfinished story now is since we had those 140,000 people, we're down to under 100,000 now. And the number of jobs just aren't there. Like, you can't just go out and get all these job offers anymore. So the unfinished story is we've got to really transform Erie. And the most important thing we have to do is bring more good family-sustaining jobs to Erie. And that's going to give hope to people. I think, unfortunately, a lot of our low to moderate income residents kind of have given up hope. They don't think they're ever going to be able to get that job. And that's why it's so important for us to restore hope. And then we have to create and build the opportunities so that people see, hey, I could get a good job. I could eventually buy a home. I could raise a family. So I think that's the main thing that we're missing right now, most important. So that gives Michael a chance.
Yes, thank you, sir. Appreciate it. So the unfinished story of Erie, for me, looks like Erie having their first African-American judges, Hispanic judges, Latino judges, a first African-American mayor, a first Hispanic mayor, Latino mayor. So I think Erie's story is headed in the right direction with this leadership, and more diversity, within City Hall, in government, more diversity on the police department, more diversity on the fire department, more diversity in the educational system. So Erie's unfinished story, again, the leadership that's in position now, we're headed in those directions. So we are really pretty sure that Erie's unfinished story will be a good story.
Can I just follow that up with, and I know that this to be true, but what are you doing right now to help move in that direction? Because I know you are doing something.
Well, right now, we've been in talks with different partners within the city of Erie, Community Center Director Chantel Hilliard, Mercer University. We just actually had the first pilot program from the Department of Justice called Strengthening Police and Community Partnerships, SPCP for short. And what this program did was it identified 8 homogenous groups from across the sector to begin to have conversation about how to better improve relationships with the police department in the community. So that's a step in the right direction. Another initiative that we're working on now is just focusing on recruiting veterans for the fire department and the police department. So those are strategic plans of actions that we are doing right now, and some other things, but I think it's too early to put out there in the open. But so we are definitely on those paths to address just that question.
The unfinished story of Erie is its transformation. As the mayor noted, in 1960 we had about 140,000 residents. And over the years, we've just slowly gone downhill. We've lost jobs, we've lost population. Today we're at a point where there are 97,000 people living in the city. But what I think is remarkable about right now is you have the public sector galvanized, you have the private sector galvanized. They're working together to figure out what's going to be the transformation. They know that we need to stop that decline and to get the city growing again. So the mayor's got his plans from City Hall. Groups like the EDDC and private businesses like Erie Insurance and UPMC Hammond have their plans to get the city growing again. We are all finally working together to really transform Erie and to make it a great place, so when you are older, you're going to be sitting in these chairs.
This is a question, and for all of you. How does your relationship with God help you with your work?
Would you like me to go first?
Yeah, we might as well. Yeah.
So my faith gives me guidance and perseverance in difficult times. I've gone through a number of times in my life which I thought would have been failures. Things like when I was coming out of college, I applied for about 18 different jobs. Couldn't get any of them. When I finally got a job, I ended up working in the White House. So if I'd taken one of those 18 jobs, I wouldn't have the opportunity to work in the White House. And when I was in the White House, I applied to some law schools. I ended up not getting in. But when I didn't get in, I got the opportunity to go work for the U.S. ambassador to Australia. So I got to go live and work down in Australia. And when I was in Australia, probably the most important thing in my life and the thing I'm most proud of, I met my wife down there. So if you look back, if I'd taken one of those 18 jobs out of college, I wouldn't have gone to work at the White House, wouldn't have gone on to Australia, wouldn't have met my wife. If I'd gone on to law school, I wouldn't have gone to Australia, I wouldn't have met my wife. So through those difficult times, I think I've had to have faith that God was always going to guide me to the course that He knows best for me. It's tough for us. I think we like to control our own destiny and think that we can control our own lives, but we have to accept that there's someone out there controlling it for us.
And for me, I believe it's in the book of Proverbs where it says, lean not towards thy own understanding, but acknowledge God in all your ways, and He shall direct your path. So for me, in my position, my faith is very important in God. Prayer, listening. God bless you. God bless you. Right? Yeah, nice play, right?
Well timed.
Yes. But just having faith in God, because just by studying the Word of God that, like John just said, there's trials and tribulations that we all face. And the greatest story ever told through Christ Jesus shows us that having faith in God gets us through all of our storms and trials and tribulations. So I just keep that in the forefront of my mind and know that with Him, nothing is impossible.
And I couldn't agree more with John and Michael, how important our relationship with God is in our life. And I can tell you, I'm probably the oldest guy here, person here in the room.
You are the oldest.
I am. Thanks for confirming that, Andy.
You only got a year or two on Andy though, so.
I can tell you that.
But you aren't old. Age just says what you lose, you gain more with age.
Thank
so
you.
to be honest, we all are getting younger
I like it.
faster and faster with the knowledge we are gaining.
I like that, Connor. Thank you very much.
He's an optimistic guy.
Yes, yes.
Yeah.
Our relationship with God is really important, but not because I'm older, but because I've lived a little longer. Maybe let's put it that way. I can tell you there's times my faith has wavered, to be honest. As a kid, I was very spiritual and religious. In fact, at age 13, I left home and went into a Catholic seminary. We actually, now that I've been a parent myself, I'm amazed my parents let me do that at age 13. But I actually moved into the seminary. It was up on East Grandview Boulevard here in Erie at the time. We lived there. There were 65 boys that went into the seminary. I was one of 65. 35 of us graduated together. And I stayed in the seminary for the first 2 years of college also. And my faith was very strong, and I practiced. I was, in a sense, much more religious, not necessarily more spiritual, but I was more religious in terms of my practices then than I even am now. I said the rosary every day, things like that. But I feel, so my faith has wavered from time to time, honestly, but now that I'm older, I realize how important that relationship with God is. It's the most important relationship of our lives. I've got many people that I love and are good friends, but they're not always around. But anytime I need something, I just need to get my mind settled down and return to God, and He gives me direction.
This is for all of you guys. How does your family help support getting your job done?
Well, I'm starting out if you guys don't mind. A joke I've been using lately is there's only one person in all of Erie mad at me right now. You know who that is? My wife, because I'm never home right now. We're so busy with being a first-time mayor, learning a lot, and just trying to be out there and available and accessible, trying to go to everything. And I've told my wife, don't worry about it. I'm learning right now, be able to prioritize better by next year. I'm telling her it's going to take a year. She doesn't really want to wait that long, but the people in our lives are very important because they're right there. You can see them, you can touch them, you can say hi, and I do see my family every day. One of the things that bothers me, we talked about the population of Erie going down. I have 3 children. One is disabled, and she's in her 30s, and she still lives with my wife and I. We see her every day. But the other 2, one is in San Francisco. She works for a company called Google there. One is in Albany, New York. He works for a company called Mohawk Fine Paper. They both have great jobs. And when they went to college, which was over 10 years ago, they graduated, but when they went, my mom made a rule called Club Med. That stood for Call Mommy Every Day. So they did that while they were in college. They called us every day, and now they've been out of college 12 years. They still call us every night. So that closeness is still there with the family. So I'll stop there.
Yeah. Family is very important. I was telling some students earlier today when I came in, they asked me about, my kids and my wife and how do they feel about me being in this position. And what I shared with them was I make sure to put on the calendar every month family time. I mean, like if it's renting a boat, going on the lake, if it's going to the beach and barbecuing, just hanging out. And so family is very, very important. Family keeps us rooted and grounded. It keeps us focused on what's before us. Without family, I think we would spiral out of control. So with family, again, that's the rock, that's the grounding place for me and for many of us.
I know I wouldn't be where I am today without family. I've come from a great family. Mom and dad and I have 3 sisters who definitely kept me in line growing up. We've got a big family here. There's about 30, as I mentioned, people on my mom's side. But the most important family members to me are my wife and my 3 kids, Madeline, who's 7, Olivia, who's 5, and David, who's 3. My wife has been a tremendous support to me in terms of when I was out campaigning. I was working full-time as a lawyer last year as well. So she was there to take care of the kids and take care of a lot of things at home. But at the same time, my wife is a former journalist. She worked for one of Australia's biggest newspapers. She was a freelance journalist in the Middle East. She was nominated for one of Australia's top journalists of the year award. And so I rely on her a lot just because she's got a good sense of she's got good judgment, she's got good instincts, and so she's been a great resource to me both personally and professionally. And the kids, they're fun. No matter what day I've had, I'll come in the door and Joe and Michael, I'm sure, can attest to this. You see their smiles, and it doesn't matter what day you've had, everything changes. So they're giving me some advice too. They'd like to see more ice cream shops and more donut shops downtown. I think if they had their choice, every store would be selling ice cream and donuts. But it's good advice. I'm taking it under consideration. But couldn't do this without my family.
So true.
John, I'll tell you, as your kids get older, they'll give you more and more advice. Based on my experience, at least, like last year in the campaign, my son and daughter both worked on it a lot. And my daughter started to do something, and I became aware of it. She'd want to tell me something I should be doing differently, but she'd first always tell me something. Dad, when you did blah, 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 that was really good. But when they ask you this, you should say, and I got a kick out of that. It was like a little role reversal,
Yeah, so true.
So when they're younger, they leave out that first part. They just go right to the and you have
Four kids, yes.
kids.
Michael, Michaela, Malia, and Malik. And Malia is my fashion designer. She tells me what to wear.
and you always look good.
Yes.
Thank you. Yeah, yep.
I have a question, and you already told me this.
Okay.
Yes. What was your first job? That was a question I said you already answered. And this is for all of you.
I'll let Michael go
But,
first. for a
but
change.
I still would like to
Okay.
remember the full story.
Okay.
My first job, I worked for Erie Times News. I was a paper boy. And every Sunday morning, I hated Sunday mornings because the papers was full of inserts, and it weighed like a ton. So I'm like this 13-year-old kid with all these newspapers, carrying them every single Sunday. Well, it taught me discipline. It taught me, how to get up in the morning and how to be responsible. So I think I kept that job for about 2-3 years. I enjoyed it. So a quick side note, so Sundays was the worst day because of the workload, and Friday was collection day, so the neighborhood bullies knew they knew it was collection day, so they would wait for us.
So they were just they were sitting there. They would set their calendars with bully paper boys.
Potentially, yes. Yes.
So did you have any tactics for avoiding the bullies?
We had to engage them.
Okay.
Engage the enemy.
Yes.
If you can't go around, go through.
There you go.
But, and that job also worked because you also said you liked the people, so you
Yes.
also met a few other people during your time.
Yes, indeed. Yes, indeed.
Mostly bullies, but also good people. People who would say thank you and always help.
Yes. So there's this pastor, right? So we were kids. So we would run by his house as paper boys and swing on his tree, just grab this tree and swing. So one day he puts this grease on the tree branch. So we jumped on the tree, hit the ground. So we never did that again. So just on a side note, yeah.
Well, that's awesome.
Yeah.
So I'm going to go to John for the last of the questions, and then we're actually going to wrap up this interview. Appreciate your first job.
Okay. I was a lifeguard. I was a competitive swimmer for 17 years. So I spent a lot of time at pools, and I was a lifeguard at a pool, and it was a great job because it was fun. You got to work with friends, other young people were lifeguards, but it taught me a lot of good lessons. One, you have to pay attention. You turn your eye for 1 minute, and even little kids can go and slip in a pool. And if a little kid goes in the pool and can't swim, they're going to drown. But as part of being lifeguards too, it taught me the importance of making sure everything looked clean. We had to clean up at the beginning of the day and at the end of the day. So we were scrubbing toilets, we were scrubbing showers, we were taking out trash. We had to make the place look nice. And it taught me the importance of when things look nice, everyone feels much better about it. So I'm trying to keep those lessons in mind when downtown, as I'm walking down the street and I see trash, just pick it up and throw it out. Because when you have a clean, nice area, everyone feels better about it.
Yeah, not only was that an interesting story, and it also goes into how you like the people, but that actually goes into a story I have. I would go to my school, Edison. When I saw trash on the ground, I would pick it up
That's great.
and I would just throw it away because
great.
I just felt like it wasn't that good. A few times I would just see this wave of papers, like a tsunami just came by.
Well, and
Why?
we all need to do our part, don't we?
Yeah, and
So I'm gonna stop us there. Thank you guys. Awesome job with the questioning.
Yeah, well
Would you
done.
agree?
Well done.
yes.
Thank you for having us.
And gentlemen, thank you so much.
you
I
very much.
think when we look at what we're all doing, seeing where you came from, the love of the city, this is all we have. Our time is up for UUTV. Appreciate your input. Questioners, excellent job. Thank you for tuning in to UUTV. And as we depart, I want to ask everybody just to ask yourself, how is God playing a role in your unfinished story in your life? So God bless you. I'm Andy Kerr, chaplain at the Erie City Mission. Thank you, everybody, for participating. God bless you. Have a great day.